Hi everyone, my name is Leslie Knowles and I'm a professional makeup artist and I'm also the owner of Blushes and Brushes Makeup Artistry. So this is my very first video, if it is actually successfully uploaded, and today I'm going to talk about prepping the face and doing foundation and concealer. So the first thing you want to do is, well, one rule, you at night you always want to cleanse your face really well, and then you want to end that with a toner and then a moisturizer. In the mornings, technically you are supposed to cleanse your face again. However, if you're like me, I just don't have time to do that in the morning. So, but I do at least tone my face and apply moisturizer. And I've already done that for us today to try to shorten this video up. One little rule of toner: if you have combination skin, then it's okay to use a toner with alcohol in it. And if you have very dry skin, you do not need to use a toner with alcohol in it because it will dry your skin out and cause you to have some sores on your face from the alcohol excessively drying it out. But they do make toners without alcohol, so always tone your face. And a lot of people ask me what's the purpose of toner, but the purpose of it is to remove any buildup and any excess makeup and bacteria off your face. And believe it or not, in the mornings it is really good to tone your face because it removes any bacteria and buildup that you may have gotten overnight while you're sleeping. So I've already done that and I've already moisturized and I'm ready to begin applying my makeup. So what I want to talk about first is concealer. Usually I put my concealer on after my foundation. However, if I have any areas of concern like excessive bags under my eyes or darkening under my eyes or any yellow or red breakouts, zits, that kind of thing, I'm going to do my corrective concealers first. And there's all different colors. You have your yellow, blue, green, orange, any of those you want to go ahead and do. And not too excessively, because if you put it on too thick, on the areas of concern, then it's going to really cause a dramatic discoloration of the face. So you want to do that a very little amount. So it's just to try to wipe out the areas. But if you don't have anything that's too concerning, then we're going to apply our foundation first. So I want to talk to you a lot about the different foundations. I have a lot sitting here. The first one that I'm going to talk about is over-the-counter foundations. That's what I call them, but it's a drugstore brand. And these are good. This one particular that I have right here is the Revlon Color Stay. I'm not sure if you can see that, but it's this is a natural tan, and it's a mousse. So you can go in here. I usually use my fingers or a cosmetic wedge to put this on, but I found that this works really good. It's full coverage. There's all kind of different things for the various coverages that you want. If you want very light coverage, you need to make sure that you look for a foundation that says that it's very minimal coverage, medium coverage, or full coverage. I will say, if you have a lot of wrinkles or age spots, you want to be very careful with full coverage because they will settle in any wrinkles or bags or anything like that you may have on your face. So drugstore makeup is good. You just have to find the right kind. A lot of it is just experimentation. It doesn't have to be high end to be good. And so, like I said, this Revlon Color Stay Whipped Mousse, I really love this over the counter, and I think it was like $10 to $15. It wasn't too expensive. The next one I want to talk to you about, these are all these are all high end. The first one I'm going to talk about is Makeup Forever HD. This one is very good. It's considered like a light to medium coverage, and it goes on sheers, great for photos. So if you want like just a little coverage, you can use this. And this is usually best applied with a foundation brush, and I've got a foundation brush right here, and these should be nice and slender hairs in your brush. It should be pretty thin, so when you apply the foundation on and put it on your face, it should go on very smoothly, and this really helps with blending. So that's the Makeup Forever HD. And like I said, this is really good. And I'll use this if I just want, just a light coverage or light to medium coverage. And it really makes your skin look awesome. The next kind I want to talk about is this NARS. This is again a high-end makeup. This is a medium to full coverage, more on the full coverage side. And their NARS, the good thing about NARS is they have all different types of coverage. This one is a cream, and so a lot of times I'll use my fingers to put this on, or I'll use my foundation brush. And then sometimes I'll use a cosmetic wedge. And you can buy these wedges at Walmart or drugstore, Sally's, wherever you can. But you can get these wedges, and all of those are great in blending. The Beauty Blender that I have right here is also really good for that. One good thing, one really good trick that you need to know about the Beauty Blender is that you need to clean it really good, because it soaks up a lot when you have it. Same thing with a cosmetic wedge. That's why you really only need to use it like once, maybe twice, and then throw it away. But the Beauty Blender, you need to submerge that in cleanser and wring it out and let it dry out at least every day or two to get it done, so where you don't have excessive bacteria on your face. And to use the Beauty Blender, you would just apply a little bit of the NARS on here and then blend it up into the skin, and this leaves no lines. It's very good. With foundation, no matter what top you use, you always want to make sure that you blend it really well. It doesn't need to have like a big orange circle right here and it stops. I see a lot of people with that. You need to have it needs to be the tone of your face, or maybe I will even say a little bit darker, as long as you blend it really good into the neck. No matter what color it is, you want to blend it all the way into the neck, and possibly even further, depending on what you're wearing. The next guy I want to talk to you about is this. This is Face Atelier, and this is probably one of my favorites. It is a full coverage foundation. It's but it feels so light on the face, and I use my foundation brush to put this on, and it is just completely wonderful. I got this on HauteLook.com, and I don't really remember how much it was. It was on sale, but it's the price is a little higher up because it is a high-end makeup. But again, this is a liquid, and it's a full coverage Face Atelier Pro Ultra Foundation, and it is really awesome. Then you have the Kat Von D Lock-It Tattoo Foundation. This is a very, very full coverage foundation. And the thing about Kat Von D is most of her tints I've found have like a yellow undertone to them. So with this type, I would say instead of using your foundation brush, I would really use my fingers, because you need to move this around the face pretty quickly, because it dries very fast, and you don't want to have big spots of thickened foundation all over your face. But this is a really good foundation if you're needing just a full coverage day. Maybe it's that time of the month or right before we all have a breakout. So this is really good to use for your times when you need really good full coverage, but it really needs the heat of your fingers to move it around the face. So and then you can follow that with a Beauty Blender to make sure that you get any lines and all of that smoothed out. Then the one of the last kinds I'm going to talk about, and I have many, many more, but these are some of my favorites that I use all the time. And I'm fairly new to this. I was just introduced to this probably about 6 months ago, and it's called Picture Perfect Foundation. They use this a lot for pageants and any kind of photography, fashion photography or anything. But this is actually fairly cheap. You can get it online around here in the Columbus, Georgia, in the Valley area. There's not a salon that sells it. The closest salon here is in Atlanta, or then you have Birmingham too. So this is a pan foundation, and it's best to use with a cosmetic wedge. And you can see on the inside, it's kind of like mud. It's pan, and you go in. You can wet your sponge a little bit. I've found that wetting the cosmetic sponge just a tad bit will help it go on smoother because it is thick and it is full coverage. But you dab your wedge in there, and then you want to start just kind of patting it under the eyes, and then go through. But this is, like I said, awesome for photography. Like I said, it's used for pageants a lot. That's how I got introduced to it, so it's really great. The one I'm going to use today for you, though, is the Face Atelier. And just like I said, you want to stick close to your natural skin tone. This one's a tad bit darker, but it goes in, and I can smooth it out really good. And I'm actually going to use my foundation brush. So I'm ready to go ahead and do this. I'm just going to apply just a very small squirt, just like this, onto the brush. And then I'm going to start kind of in the middle of my face. Okay, you want to have an even, steady hand. You never want to go up and down really hard because that will give you lines, and that'll cause the foundation to settle in any lines. I always go over my eye too. A lot of people will say don't go over your eyes, but I always cover that as well. One thing I did forget to mention is if you want to use a primer, this is a good time to go ahead and use a primer. But some people tend to get really oily with a primer and a moisturizer. So if you tend to get pretty oily, especially in the T-zone area, I would say skip the moisturizer and just do the primer, because the primers all usually have moisturizers in them. So I'm going to finish. I'm just doing this side of the face, and a little bit goes a long way. So how little of a drop I put on there. And then to get under my eyes, I'm just going to dot, dot, dot. Okay. Make sure it's nice and smoothed in. And then I'm going to apply another little amount here. And then I'm going to start on the other side. And you can see this is a little bit darker than my skin tone. But as I said, it blends in really well. And I like it. And when I bought it, I was actually this exact shade. But I've kind of lost my tan since it's not really tanning, the tanning time of year yet, unless you've been laying in the tanning bed or getting spray tan. So this one is slightly darker than my complexion, but I can still pull it off because I'll blend it really good. And you can see I'm blending really well under my neck to make sure it's blending. I'm going over the eye, over the forehead area, and blotting under the eye. Now I'm going to do the center of the face with another drop here in just a little bit. So I'm going to start on my chin. Let's see if I can get closer here. I'm going to go here. Another good thing about the foundation brush is that you can get these little broken capillaries that a lot of us women have under our nose. And you can just go there right under the nose on the sides of it, especially around the nostrils. That seems to where the broken capillaries come from. And you can dot it with the very tip of your brush to make sure that you're covering them up. Now I'm going to blend this all into my neck. And then I'm going to apply just a hair more, just to get my forehead. And blending it all the way into my hairline. You don't want to have a ring right there around your hair. You want to blend it all the way into your hairline. And you notice my hair is pulled all the way back. Some of it's kind of sliding out of my headband, but it's all pulled back and out of my face. And then you want to go down the center bridge of your nose. And right now, I'm just making sure everything's covered and evened out. Okay? Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Beauty Blender and again, just kind of go over everything, make sure I've evened out any lines. And I'm going to blend really good right here because I do not want to have the harsh line right here. And that is one of my pet peeves when I see that on people. So this beauty blender is really good, but you do have to clean it really well after each use. The beauty blender is good too because at the very point you can get under the nose where those little reddened areas come from. Alright, so now my foundation is on, okay? I apply pretty light coverage because I don't want to have that cakey look. Now, if I have to do appearances or anything like that when I'm doing pageants, then I'll put a little bit heavier layer on, but you can't really tell that you have anything on. So now, since I've got my foundation on, I'm going to go to my concealer. Rule of thumb is for concealers is you want to go about a shade or two lighter than your skin tone. Alright, you don't want to get it too close under the eye, but you want to go under the eye area especially and gently pat it until it blends in. So I'm going to use a color that's about 2 shades lighter, okay, and this is my concealer brush. I know this brush is kind of hard to see, but you can see I've got to even this out because I've got a lot on there now. But this is what I use as a concealer brush. And then if you put too much on there like I did, you can just kind of use a towel or something to smooth it out. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go under my eyes. And I'm just going to pat and go down a little bit further. And you want to make sure you go up to the side too, because we do have dark areas. They usually come up here as well. We don't want to go too far down. We're just going about to right where the top of the cheekbone is. Okay, that's a good rule of thumb. All right, now we're going to do the other eye. Notice I'm not going all the way up. I'm just going about maybe 1/4 of an inch below, and I'm going up the sides and going down to about the top of the cheekbone. Okay, and then I like to apply some down the bridge of my nose too, because we'll be talking about highlighting and contrasting in my next video when I get time to make it. But this concealer helps even out any kind of unevenness that you have in your skin. And I tend to have a very red nose for some reason, so I'll put it there. Alright, now I'm done with my concealer, so I'm going to put this up, and now I'm going to take either my middle finger or my ring finger and gently pat it. Okay, I'm not going to rub, I'm just going to pat it in, because if we rub, then it's going to not be as effective. So I'm just gently patting to make sure that it's all smoothed in the way I want it to be. Okay, and that side looks good. Now we're going to do the other side the same way. You have to play around with concealers to just see what is your type that you like. Everybody's a little bit different. This is just a palette of concealers that I have for all different skin types since I do makeup professionally. And I think I got this from Crown Brush, I believe it was. So, and it works really good for me. But I also like the NYX concealers too, especially the corrective concealers. So, I've got to do down the center, the bridge of my nose. Right here, I may have to smooth it out just a little bit because I don't want to set in. I have this big wrinkle right here, so I don't want it to set in there. So I will smooth it out over there because we want to hide those wrinkles. We don't want to highlight them. Okay, so now I'm done concealing. All right. And if you think that it looks, not light enough or too light, we can, we still got a good ways to go with makeup. So don't worry about that because we will fix anything as we keep going. Now, after we do foundation and concealer, we want to go over it. Usually, I always say with a translucent powder. And the powder that I really like is the Makeup Forever translucent powder. It's a HD powder. It's really good, but really any translucent powder is good. And I've heard that the e.l.f. translucent powder is very good too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Kabuki brush, which is pretty beaten up. I need to get a new one, but Kabuki brush is flat on the top and it's just short bristles. And then I'm going to go in a circular motion just like this. Okay, you always want to tap to get any excess off. And then I just kind of dab it all across my face to set my concealer and my foundation. Okay. You can also use like a colored pressed powder too. That's perfectly fine. And sometimes I will do that too, but today I like the translucent powder because it doesn't give you any other color besides it's just completely clear. So it just sets my foundation and concealer so that doesn't come off. Okay. And now I'm ready to apply the color makeup. So that was today's video, and hopefully I'll get to be on again soon and show you some tricks with highlighting and contouring. Thank you.